today we're showing off the strongest Cyberpunk build, except for being an advocate. Let's get straight to showcase how some fighting real quick. Alright, so I'm going to show how this build works. So, basic, 20 body, 20 reflex, tech abilities probably going to need to be 20, and you can use intelligence, but cool is, it gives more crit damage, so it's kind of necessary. Body, you don't need any of this. You'll want pain to gain, so that's why you need 20, because the 20 health item recharge is really good. For reflexes, I mean, you don't really need any of this stuff, but this stuff's good. You'll want the dash, flash and thunderclap, and you don't need slaughterhouse, but 25 stamina from dismemberments makes the build even better. Finishers are useful. You'll definitely want flash of steel, so you can get, even more melee speed. For tech ability, I'm gonna use the Doom launcher or the projectile launch system. I'll talk about that. And we're gonna definitely want Pyromania, and also burn the city is really important. Borrowed time is also extremely important for staying alive. And then you don't really need some of this stuff, but yeah. Alright, for cool, you don't need any cool abilities. I like to have some of these so you can play stealth with the Sandavistan if you want. If you kill enemies quick enough. And then intelligence is empty. Alright, for the relic skill tree, you're gonna need Phantom Liberty for this, by the way. You don't need it, but vulnerable analytics and the upgrade definitely helps, as well as jailbreak and launch capacity override. This makes it so the projectile launch system is even better. Alright, so I have 122 melee damage, which is what makes this build so incredible, as well as the high. So for your cyberware, some things are going to be pretty important. The first thing is you're going to need to buy a ton of cyberware in the early game. You don't have to do it in the early game, but it's a lot cheaper. And so here, I'll show you what you can do. So if you buy a cyberware and you re-roll the stats, so let me just make sure I have that option. See, so currently I have, these are my upgrade stats right now. And if I don't like any of them, then I can, right, I don't like any of these, right, because I'm looking for crit damage always. Or not crit damage, sorry, melee damage. So if you upgrade, you can reset them. So none of these are good. And then you can reset them again. Now if you have a bunch of low level, you'll obviously use less resources and less money trying to get a good upgrade. So I don't have anything I like, so I am not going to use that. But I've already got some stuff, so So what I did for the melee build is just got melee damage on all of the items. Some I've got really high melee damage, like 7.5 here, and so that's what you want to do. Like I said, maybe at low level, buy a bunch of like low level cyberware, like tier 2 or tier 3, and just buy like 100, 200k eddies worth of it, because once you go through all of it, now you can't get back any of it. So and then after you're done, you just sell it. You'll get some money back. Um, Now what I like to do for this build is well, I'll go over the basic stuff. So axolotl is really important, right? This is gonna bring down your Sandavistan cooldown. Yeah, you don't need a Sandavistan. You can run a Berserk because that extends your life. And if you want, you could use a Cyber deck, but I'm gonna be using the Militech Apogee for this because it's got the best cooldown. It's got good crit chance and damage, and you can extend the duration by just killing enemies. Self Ice and Mechatronic Core. Mechatronic Core is just good to have because it does more damage to you know, robots, but Self Ice is not really necessary. Projectile launch system is really important for this build. You could use Gorilla Arms, but then you'd not be able to use the blades. I just prefer the electrifying projectile launch system because it can stun enemies and then you can just finish them. So that's what I like to do. Parabellum just for armor. Dense Marrow is really important because you want that melee damage, and Endomorphic Skeleton's good for just more health. You could also use the Reverus for more armor, but I don't have enough cyberware capacity. You could also substitute the Reflex Tuner for the Revulsor, but I like the slowdown time. So with this borrowed time, when you're at 25% HP and you have no health charge remaining, you get instant recharge. That works very well with Revulsor or Reflex Tuner because by the time you're that low, you'll be able to kill enemies faster and gain your health recharge, especially with Pain to Gain. Once that goes down, you get the free recharge. Now you're in a good spot. Now you kill a bunch of enemies with the slowdown time, and now you've got like 2 health charges probably. So you kind of can't die with that. You can if you're not careful, and snipers can still kill. They can still one-shot you and just go past all of your health. Stabber, for some reason it's not working for me, but I'm supposed to get the extra crit chance. I just have it on there. Deep field interface. The reason I use the deep field interface is because it gives you crit damage per cool attuned attribute point, so that's 18 more damage. I'm not really going to be shooting enemies though, so it's not totally necessary. For the inaugmentary system, the Pain Inducer and the Shock and Awe and the Carapace are by far the strongest. These two iconic items, the Peripheral Interface and the Chitin, they're not worth it. This healing is not good enough, and it's got too much cyberware capacity. The Peripheral Interface is okay, but it's kind of like you have to be very close to your enemies to not take any damage. Another good option is the Pain Editor, but I like the Pain Inducer because Shock and Awe procs every time you take damage. So if you've got the Pain Inducer, you keep taking damage over time, and it keeps proccing Shock and Awe. And then Carapace is just really strong, especially for melee. You could use any of these. If you like the Fortified Ankles, I would do that because that's a lot more armor, but I prefer my double jump with reinforced tendons. Micro rotors, you want more melee attack speed. Biomonitor is also pretty important to automatically heal. You don't need it if you're good. And then I like the isometric stabilizer because it reduces all your stamina costs for attacks. And that's not just shooting attacks, it's every attack. You could use Second Heart, you could use Heal on Kill, or you could use the which one is it? Probably the Adrenaline Booster. But the thing is, you've got to kill enemies to get your stamina back. And so if you're fighting max attack, that doesn't help you, versus this is just like flat out less stamina cost. And if you got high reflexes too, then that's minus 30 stamina costs. So that's really good. For hands, they don't matter. But I've got what I used to use was the tattoo imprint, because you can upgrade it and put whatever you want on here. So I've got plus 6 melee damage on that, but I'm trying to cap out my my cyberware capacity for the edge runner perk. So that's not really it. That's why I've got it as max, and also both of these slots filled, but it's not totally necessary. So I just have these so I can have a stronger melee damage stat. Cockatrice Kiroshis are really strong because 35% crit chance is great. And you don't need this. Alright, so that's the basics of the build. You're gonna want the Byaku. I found it was probably the strongest in killing enemies. I had fun with the Butcher's Cleaver, but it's kind of iffy. I also did well, since this buffs all melee damage, you could also use you know, body things. So I had fun with the crowbar, but it's I mean, that's kind of the basics of the build. I'll make a separate video on how to get 430 cyberware capacity, because you've got to do a glitch to get it. It's not an old glitch. It's just I couldn't find more YouTube videos on it, but there used to be YouTube videos on it. It's a way so you can double your cyberware capacity, like perk shards. So every time you pick up one, you get two. So you can't pick up infinite, but I found that 430 cyberware capacity was the maximum. If you put on the upgraded Chrome compressor, that's 500 cyberware capacity. But that's the Chrome compressor, so you'd probably use that for like a gun build or something else. So, I mean, I think that's just basically how the build works. So, real quick, I want to go over the projectile launch system while you're fighting enemies. So, the projectile launch system just really blows up enemies. I usually don't use it in general combat, but I'll use it for just blowing up cars, especially with police in them. It just kills the police really fast. You also don't obviously need to fight max attack, but that's where this build really shines, is just being able to mow down enemies. So, while in Sandavistan, while with the Sandavistan, it's looking at 100% crit chance. So that's pretty good. Although I do have the Edge Runner perk on right now. I want to see what happens after that. But yeah, as you can see, it just kind of destroys the police before they can do anything. And then with the Burn This City perk, by the time you've done all your explosions, you've already got your grenade back. As you can see, I didn't even lose it. You don't even need a Sandavistan. If you want, you can just use it for general survivability. Although max attack, you kind of need it. But yeah, look at all that critical damage. I do need to check real quick. My critical chance should be 100, but there's a bug with not only Stabber, but also with, let's see, with the skill progression perk or reflexes. This should be 40 crit chance, and then with the Sandavistan, with the Apogee, that would make it 60 base, and my character already has 58, so I'm not sure why it is bugged. But anyway, max attack doesn't stand a chance. They're already dead. So, yeah. This build's a little strong. I haven't fought Adam Smasher with the build, but you don't need to. This build's already really good. Now I can play with the crowbar. It's kind of fun. I'm on consoles, so having a low FOV is not very good for general melee, but it's not bad. It's just not as good for survivability compared to blades, and it just feels slow compared to the Byaku. Right, because the Byaku is, I can leap to enemies. It's got lots of very quick slashes. Now I find a very buggy thing. If I shoot the ground right in front, your frame rate will be destroyed. No, it didn't happen. Sometimes there's this bug where the Byaku won't like keep slashing. Now with the ticking time bomb perk, right after sheer devastating goes off, you can use it again, and then it'll explode, and I can use it again, and I'll kill enemies and it'll go up. But you can just keep starting it, and once it goes up, all the enemies will be stunned, and that's pretty good. So that's basically the whole build. It's very strong. The only thing that rivals it is a really strong net running build, but net running's kind of boring for some people, and I don't really like learning all of the net running quick hacks, so I just run with this. So yeah, if you're still here, thanks for watching, and if I make any more videos, be sure to subscribe for the next ones.